Hello all, and welcome back to another wonderful video. Today I'm going to be talking about Ponytown custom servers and what it would be like if I personally had one. Now, a little bit of things that I want to make clear about these ideas and everything like that. They are just ideas, and they are just like fun thoughts and things like that, really, more than anything. I personally don't have the coding knowledge for this. Custom servers aren't allowed anymore, so there's that obviously as well. I don't have the resources for this or anything like that, so it's really just more of a fun thought experiment, a fun thing to kind of talk about and think about and things like that. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about some ideas and things like that I would do if I owned my own custom server of Ponytown. If I had my own Ponytown custom server, what would I do with it? What would I call it? I don't even know what I would call it. I really don't know what I would call it. I would probably just stick with just call it Storytown or something, but we'll get into that in a moment. So I split up my ideas into like 3 categories, starting with customization and then buildings and then map details and mechanics and things like that. So starting off with customization, things that I would right away want to include are obviously things like Skella's cuffs. So these spiky cuffs would be an excellent addition to the game, I think. So I would love to add those. Hair clips, I would add hair clips so you can actually have like these weird special detail in your hair. If you've ever seen the episode of the Grand Galloping Gala, the season finale of the first season, Fluttershy had these like butterfly things in her hair. Essentially, that's what this customization thing is. Just neat little different things. Like we could have some bats, some candy, some butterflies, of course, and have that to be an accessory that you can put into your hair. I think that would be lovely, and I'd love to see that in the main game. But if I had a custom server, it would definitely be something that I would focus on and try to implement into the game. The third thing that I would include in the customization would be a randomizer. So essentially you could go to the game and there would be a button next to the edit button, or when you're in the characters tab or something like that, there'd be a button somewhere that's like a dice symbol, or it would just say randomizer or something like that, and you just press it and it just shuffles all the accessories, all of the customization options and everything like that, and just shuffles them up, and then it pops out a character. That'd be extremely difficult to implement, obviously, but we're talking about like dream fantasy style here, where we can do whatever we want with unlimited resources, unlimited knowledge and experience and everything like that. Just if I could do whatever I wanted for a custom server with no limitations whatsoever, then this is the things that I would do. I would obviously add a lot more customization things, and something that I would love to see Ponytown itself do, and something that I personally would do for my own custom server, Storytown, whatever you want to call it. I would personally have it to where players would have a better ability to submit pixel art and things like that for the customization or other ideas. I would really love to have like a yearly contest or something like that, where throughout the entire year people are submitting things to some sort of subreddit or something like that, and then the most upvoted thing on the subreddit ends up getting added at the end of the year, something like that. I think it could be an awesome thing, especially if you did it for your anniversary. So it's like, oh well, let's just say September 19th or September 24th is the anniversary of this custom server, whatever like that. Every September 24th, we would be like, okay, here's a new customization that you guys voted on in the subreddit, and just add it or whatever. I think it could be an awesome idea, and I would love to see that. Obviously, there'd have to be some more rules and restrictions on the customization and everything like that, but you get what I'm saying. So I would love to have that. That's pretty much everything in the customization. Obviously, I could spend this entire video just talking about things that I would love to add for the customization, but honestly, I want to talk about these other things too, because I have a lot of fun ideas here. So obviously, I would want to add the town part of the Ponytown type thing, or Storytown, whatever you want to call it. The buildings that I would love to see in my own custom server if I had access to unlimited knowledge, unlimited resources, all that stuff. I would love to have a costume store, and this is something that I would love to see Ponytown itself do. Damien actually gave me this idea, but essentially it's where you collect a bunch of candies on the map every Halloween, right? That's a thing, and every Halloween they could have a costume shop somewhere on the map that you could go to and trade in your candies for costumes and things like that. It would be an awesome addition to the main game. I would add it to mine. I would add it to my version of Ponytown and everything like that. So costume store would be one thing, and it would definitely be seasonal. You wouldn't be able to go there every year round, but you would be able to access the costumes year round. via your party island or some other thing. So, well, maybe you could access them. Maybe the costume shop is more of a clothing store or something like that, but it only sells costumes and it's like a weird, funny thing. I don't know. But something else I would love to add to Storytown is aquarium, and an aquarium somewhere on the map. I think that would be awesome. Same thing with a museum. A museum would be awesome as well. Maybe even just combine the two, and you could do a whole Animal Crossing style thing where it's like, oh, you know, you can go around the map. There's these little symbols on the ground or something like that, and if you get a shovel and click on it, you dig something out of the ground, or it just pops into your mouth or something. Obviously, I don't think it would have like a whole digging animation or everything like that, but if it did, that'd be cool. But essentially, you could go around. There's specific locations. If you have a shovel, it just randomly spawns, and you could dig it, and it unlocks, like, maybe it's a fossil, maybe it's an ancient relic, maybe it's some other thing. It would just be really awesome to be able to do that and unlock certain things and stuff, or really just collect things more than anything. And the museum itself would be really cool because it could work similar to how the party island works, where if you go into it, it's your own personal museum, but if you invite someone to your party, then that person in your party can see your personal museum. And I think that could be an awesome mechanic there, where you can show your friends your collection by bringing them to the museum or whatever, and while on party and stuff. I think that could be awesome, and there could be like a special tag or something, or some kind of special thing that happens when you unlock everything in the museum and stuff. I think it could just be awesome. I would love to have that. The aquarium could also obviously be possible as a combination to the museum. They could have fish or something like that in like the rivers and lakes and things like that you could collect or whatever, and that would go into the museum as well. Different things like maybe some rare flowers randomly spawn on the map, and you can collect those, and then that also ends up in the museum or something like that. And then of course, since you own the museum, or since you're the museum owner or whatever like that, you could go there and grab those things and just hold them whenever you want and walk around the map with that stuff in your mouth or something. That could be a lot of fun. I think the museum mechanic would just be one of the most awesome things that Ponytown itself could do, and something that I would personally love to do on my own special custom server if I had access to unlimited everything and could do it. But of course, the museum just goes on and on and on. There's so many things that you can do with that. But moving on, a library would be awesome as well. I would love to have a library somewhere on the map. It could be even cooler too if like there's this library and some of the books you can actually pick up off the shelf, and there's like actual text inside and you can read it and everything like that. Just funny little poems or whatever else. Maybe even some user submitted stuff with certain curation or something. I think that could be awesome and fun. Most likely just Easter eggs and stuff like that would take place in the library and everything. And then of course another building would be something similar to what a different custom server did. It's like an arcade essentially. You go there and it basically allows you to play a game or whatever, and it allows you to access multiple different games. And if you're in a party with someone, then obviously they're in the same arcade as you and you can play the same games together. Essentially, this would be very similar to the museum thing or the party island thing, where if you go there, it's your own personal arcade and you can customize it however you want, put different games in different corners and parts of that little map or whatever, however you want to do that. And then if you invite someone to your party, and you go to the arcade with them in your party, then you could play those games together and stuff like that. I think that could be a lot of fun, and this would also be an interesting way to implement mini games and stuff like that to the game. Obviously, there's better ways to do this as well, because of course you can just have each building be a different mini game, and you go in it with your friends, and then you play games together or whatever like that, and have randoms join you and everything like that as well. There's probably a million ways to play that, but that's just something that I kind of tinkering with a little bit in my mind and everything. But that could be a lot of fun. So moving on to more map details, I mentioned earlier about the little star symbols or little symbols on the ground that you can dig up. That's technically a map detail, but there's other map details that I would love to see for my own little thing. First off, having stuff like proper walkways, proper roads, or something a little bit better than just dirt paths and stuff like that. It would be awesome as well. I would love to have, instead of torches, have like actual lamps or some other thing, because the torches aren't really exactly the best. They also look really kind of weird to me sometimes, especially if I'm adding all this other stuff. And this is something that I think Ponytown might end up facing very soon. But the more buildings that they add, the more stuff that they do, the torches are slowly going to start to look kind of outdated, and they're slowly going to start to look kind of weird, if you ask me. Now, the tiki torches, well, that's kind of timeless, if you ask me. I don't think that'll ever look bad, because it's specifically for the beach area and stuff like that, but the base torches I think will eventually get old and look kind of weird, so I'd love to have some kind of other lighting system or something in place for my map details and stuff like that. Something else that I would love to have is a void spot somewhere. I think I mentioned this in the Fantasy Town video, but they just have a random void square on their on the main map somewhere at the top of the main map, and it's walled off and everything like that, and it's like warning void or whatever like that. I would love to just have like a random square like that, just one single tile of void somewhere on the map, just maybe in like the top left corner or one of the corners, or maybe even the very center of the map or something like that, which maybe not the very center, because that's where I would love to have the you know, obviously that's where I would love to have the spawn at and everything like that, but maybe the edges somewhere, just a random square tile that's just a void. And for the longest time people will be like, what the heck is this? What is this, a map error? What's going on with this void? And then one day an update comes out and the void square is 2 tiles big instead of 1 tile big, and they're like, okay, what's going on? And then eventually it's 3 tiles big and 4 tiles big, and then it's like 8 tiles big, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and then eventually players are gonna be like, okay, something's going on, what's going on with this void? And I'll just be like avoiding all the questions and everything like that, and then slowly the void will slowly expand on the whole map until there's nothing but void left. And it could be a fun little thing where it's like, oh, we're having a void event. I would just love to have stuff like that. And this goes back to the name Storytown. I would love to have these different events, essentially, that sort of tell like a small story. Fortnite does something like this, and as much as I don't really like Fortnite that much, I've played it a little bit in the past. I didn't enjoy it, especially with all the building and stuff like that. It's just too much. But you gotta admit, I think everyone here has to admit that Fortnite does some awesome events. They have some awesome story events type stuff, and I think that's so cool. I would love to have something like that for Ponytown. So if I had a custom server, I would probably have an entirely separate server. Yeah, obviously not a whole new custom server, but you know how like there's the 18+ server, 13+ server, and so on and so on. I would love to have like just a story mode server that if you click on, it just goes through an event. You get to play the most recent event. The next event happens, and then you can choose between the 2 events, and then the next event happens, and you can choose between the 3 events or whatever. I think that could be so much fun to be able to just have someone be able to do stuff like that, to be able to experience that. And I think this void event would be a fun thing to do to start off everything, because it would just be so freaking hilarious just to see how people react to the fact that this void just slowly and slowly gets bigger as updates go by, until eventually all that's left is spawn. And then it's just like, oh shit, what do we do? All we can do is stay at spawn, and then eventually spawn is even overtaken, so the map is just like all void, and you're just always walking in void. I don't know. I just think this would be like the most fun thing ever, and that's something that I would do. Like I said, there would be ways to replay these story events and stuff like that. I could have NPCs and stuff like that that are like main characters, so to speak, that have like lives and story and stuff like that people get invested in, and of course they being implemented into the different story modes and stuff like that happen in this Storytown. I just think that'd be really cool, and that's pretty much everything that I would love to do for my own custom server. There's probably a lot more that I would do if I actually got the opportunity to do literally anything. But that's the things that I've written down. That's the things that I've thought of so far. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of all these ideas and everything like that. I hope I was able to sort of explain them clearly and everything like that. If you guys have any ideas of things that you would love to do, if you had, you know, access to a custom server and could do anything with unlimited resources, unlimited servers, everything like that, then let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys have for your ideas and everything like that. And yeah, that's going to do it for the video. I do hope that you enjoyed. If you did, please do consider liking, subscribing, sharing, and doing all those wonderful things like that, because when you do those wonderful things like that, not only do you get access to wonderful content such as this, but you also get to become wonderful yourself, and I think we all want that. So do those wonderful things, and until next time, stay wonderful.